Okay, on the Brendan Baker case, Mr. Miller, we're back on the record on D20-02192FY. It's the fleeing and eluding fourth degree charge. It sounds like your discussions with the prosecutor, Mr. Tarango, indicated that he also is making an offer to have the case heard under the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act or handled under the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act, but the rest of the plea agreement stays the same. Plead as charged to the fleeing fourth with Holmes. The other charges being dismissed.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Suspended. Yep. Okay. If that's the case, after you've been talking to Mr. Baker, there'd probably be a waiver then today. Fair enough?
That's correct.
So, Mr.
And he did
Baker,
give me permission he gave me permission to sign the forms.
Oh, that's good. I was going to tell you about the two forms, Mr. Baker. One's called the waiver of the preliminary exam document. The other is called the waiver of the circuit court arraignment. If you waive your prelim today, the offer is preserved. Your case moves to circuit court. There's no testimony taken at our court. We're actually then done with the case at our court. You'd get a totally different judge, but you and your attorney would continue to discuss the case at circuit court before you make any final decision. Waiving the arraignment just means you don't go in front of the new judge to say not guilty. It actually allows us to say not guilty on all charges as it relates to what's being discussed on the case. So far, do you feel like you understand that, Mr. Baker?
Yes, Your Honor.
So with you giving Mr. Miller authority to just sign those two documents, we send them to him, and then he sends them back to us, the waiver of the arraignment, the waiver of the preliminary exam. Can you think of any questions that come up for you, Mr. Baker, right now?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Miller's good, just like Mr. Dotson, and they'll walk you through the case all the way. There'll be more discussions, you can bet. As the case moves on to circuit court, when there's a date, they'll tell you right away when that date is. And it is very possible that that date be done by Zoom, just like we are. I don't know for sure, but Mr. Miller will fill you in more details about that. Okay?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
The bond still stays the same. Everything stays the same. And those other misdemeanor charges that we had with the driving suspended and off-road vehicle, if the plea agreement goes through, then those, of course, are going to be dismissed. We just have you follow up on that with Mr. Miller. I've made a note that they're part of the plea agreement. All right? Yep. Mr. Miller, can you think of anything else?
No, I did explain to him that we will not have the preliminary exam next week. I know somebody earlier came in and was planning to have that, but yeah, we are waiving that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So then, even though that was scheduled originally for next week, Friday, that's completely off because you've done everything you needed to today. Are you with me, Mr. Baker?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
It's natural for questions to come up later about anything and everything. Just remember to call your attorney and talk to them. Make a list of your questions if you need to. I mean, it's a little bit like being at the doctor's office. You can't think of everything right when you're talking to the doctor.
Yeah,
okay?
All right. A couple of questions, but I'm sure I'll come up with more down the road.
All right, I gotcha. So you're good with us. You guys just stay in contact with each other then, okay, Mr. Baker?
Sounds good.
All set, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, I think that's all I have with you this morning.
It is, Judge. Could you just tell me one more time what the bond is on this one? Because I don't have it in front of me.
On Mr. Baker, Amanda,
Yes.
Can you pull it up? Should be on the outside of the file. Okay, on the fleeing and eluding case, it looks like the bond that we had with Mr. Baker is a 100 PR bond.
Okay.
I'm sure it's similar on the other misdemeanors.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay, thank you, Judge.
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Yep. Felix, thank you. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.